Part 2 title: The Midnight Drive. It was a moonless night, and the stars were veiled by thick, swirling clouds. John, a weary traveler, had been on the road for hours. The isolated stretch of highway seemed to stretch on forever, flanked by dense woods that whispered secrets in the wind. As John's headlights cut through the inky darkness, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Shadows danced at the edge of his vision, and every rustle of leaves sounded like distant footsteps. He turned up the volume on the radio, hoping the music would drown out his unease. The haunting melody of an old song echoed through the car, punctuated by static from the weak signal. John's grip on the steering wheel tightened. Suddenly, the headlights illuminated a figure standing at the side of the road. A shiver ran down John's spine. The figure was tall, cloaked in tattered garments that billowed in the wind. Its face was hidden in the shadows. As John approached, the figure's head turned slowly to meet his gaze. In the dim glow of the headlights, he caught a glimpse of hollow eyes that seemed to bore into his soul. Panic surged through him, but he couldn't tear his eyes away. Without warning, the figure raised a bony hand, pointing a skeletal finger down the road. It was a silent command, urging John to continue. He dared not defy it. Miles passed, but the figure remained in John's rearview mirror, an ominous specter trailing him. The road seemed to stretch infinitely, twisting and turning like a malevolent serpent. The trees pressed closer, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. A sudden, bone-chilling mist began to seep from the woods, blanketing the road in an ethereal fog. John's heart raced, and he could hear it pounding in his ears. He knew he needed to escape this nightmarish landscape, but there was no sign of civilization. As if in response to his desperation, the figure at the side of the road appeared again, now closer than before. Its presence seemed to permeate the car, suffocating John. He could feel its icy breath on his neck. With a surge of determination, John pressed his foot on the gas pedal, resolved to outpace this unearthly pursuer. The engine roared to life, propelling the car forward, cutting through the fog like a desperate escapee. The road seemed to blur, time and space melding into a disorienting haze. The radio crackled and sputtered, emitting only disjointed whispers and eerie laughter. The world outside became a phantasmagoria of shifting shadows and ghostly forms. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the fog lifted. John found himself on a well-lit street, lined with familiar houses. The oppressive weight that had gripped him for so long finally lifted. The figure had vanished. Exhausted and trembling, John parked his car in front of his own home. He stumbled out, his legs unsteady, and rushed inside, locking the door behind him. He never spoke of that night to anyone, fearing that the memory might manifest again. But every so often, in the darkest hours, he would glance out the window, half expecting to see the figure standing in the shadows, beckoning him back to that nightmarish road. From then on, John became a different man. The memory of that night haunted him, a constant reminder that there are realms beyond our understanding, lurking just beyond the edge of perception. And in the quietest moments, he could still hear the distant echoes of that haunting melody, a chilling reminder of the midnight drive that changed his life forever.